We think reading great Christian books is vital for spiritual growth. So we are asking significant Christian leaders which 3 books have changed their lives. Les Moire has played a significant role in the international contemporary worship music community as a mentor, A&R manager, record producer and bass player. He has encouraged and coached many worship leaders, including Matt Redman and Tim Hughes. Missing Jewel is Les's latest book.
I wrote Missing Jewel to tell the story of the amazing things that God has done with worship in the UK church over the last 50 years. In '61, A.W. Tozer said, "Worship is the missing jewel in the evangelical church." And so this is really the story of how the missing jewel of worship was restored to the British church and then became a blessing and a light to the nations. And the songs from the UK and the values of the UK worship community have now impacted the world. I love Surprised by the Voice of God. It's a book written by Jack Deere, just explaining how God speaks today. You know, he talks about how God speaks through dreams and visions and prophecies and different things. And just in my own life, I just wanted to be a man who walked with God and knew his voice. And this really helped me in just in making decisions about what I wanted to do, what I should be involved in, and where I should go. And the book was so important to me in my life. Yeah, I love the book God on Mute by Pete Greig. It's just one of the most real, gritty books I've read on Christian living. You know, here was the head of a prayer movement, 24/7 prayer movement, you know, doing all these ministry activities, and then his wife, you know, Sammy, had a brain tumor, and ambulances arriving in the middle of the night to take her to the hospital. And it's just how to persevere in prayer, the power of prayer, how to trust in God in these real life situations. Unmissable book. Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown Records, To Be Loved, he started this amazing record company that influenced the world. His artists were young, gifted and black. And a few years ago I was allowed to start a record label called Survivor Records, and my aim was young, gifted and Christian. So I found his book inspiring. I like to read because I find it inspiring and also educational. My favorite is to read biographies from people who have gone before me, and I find like their books are like lessons passed on. You can learn from their mistakes as well as what they've achieved. I underline a lot, and so I'll go back and study them again and take quotes and use them elsewhere. But yeah, it inspires me to learn from the generation that have gone before me.
I've got 3 books to recommend you that are particularly good for leaders. The first is Whole Life Worship by Sam and Sarah Hargreaves. We all know that our worship to God needs to be more than what we do just when we're gathered together on a Sunday. But what could we do when we gather on a Sunday that's going to best equip us to serve God in our workplaces, in our homes, and in our communities? Well, Sam and Sarah have written a really brilliant practical book that's going to equip us to do just that. They've got years of experience, and this is their distilled wisdom. I love this book and recommend it to you warmly. The second is a book that's really challenged the way that I preach. It's called Catching the Wave, Preaching the New Testament as Rhetoric by Tim McBride. And this book helps us to think when we're reading the Bible, not just to think about what it says, but to ask, what is God doing through that text? What is the author's purpose in writing that particular part of the Bible? And if we can catch the wave, which is a surfing metaphor, if we can catch the wave of God's Spirit through that particular part of the Bible, our preaching will be even more effective. This will be a great book to challenge the preachers in our lives to preach more effectively. Catching the Wave. And the third book is a book that's been republished because of the work of Books for Life. It's by Richard Foster and it's called Streams of Living Water. This was one of Pete Greig's 3 books that have changed his life. And if you're someone passionate about unity, this is a book that will help you appreciate what all the different streams of the church bring to the table so that we can work together more effectively. Pete Greig says this is a seminal title for our time. Those are 3 great books, but there are plenty more that we'd love to recommend to you. All you need to do is visit the Books for Life website to find all the news about all the latest best books.